I going? Here we go. All right. It is 10:43 in Arizona. I have synth going in the background. How did we get here, folks? How did we get here? We got boxes, Amazon boxes, sitting there. We got cat toys in the back. It's Thursday night. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Well, we just witnessed another quarterback injury. Joe Burrow. Hopefully he's not out for the year. But I'm going to do a deep dive tonight. I'm going to look through the last 25 draft classes for quarterbacks. We're going to start at the core and work our way out to break down what the hell has happened in 2023. So let's kind of just get into it. All right. Let's get our tabs open here. Here we go. All right, first stream, y'all. Stick with me. First stream. Here we go. All right. Yeah. So, it all started on October 18th when I said, what the hell's going on with quarterback play? It is just dreary as can be. So I put out a tweet, as you can see, average passing yards per team, per game by year. That's over the last 6 years. And it's just bad news. It's just bad news here. 236 passing yards per game, and that was in week 6. So things have evolved since then. But as you can see, losing 36 yards per game per team, well, that'd be what? 36, 18 yards per game per team. I mean, that's an enormous amount. And it has to have gotten worse since we last looked at this. Graham Barfield put out a great tweet a few weeks ago, talking about, look at this. Weeks 1 through 9, touchdowns scored, 599 in 2023. Whereas, when you look at 2018 to 2021, it was in the 700s. So, yeah, we've seen downturns in the fantasy market before, and we kind of saw the precursor in 2022, but 2023, a lot of things are hitting ahead, and we could have seen some of this coming, but much like any type of market crash, and this is a market crash, things like this go unnoticed. Players retiring, other players getting hurt, draft picks not hitting. So I just want to take you guys through. Let's go on a journey with some synthwave and relaxingly look at the carnage. Or actually, we're going to look at the lovely 2000s into the 2010s of just abundance and power. And then we're going to get into some of the factors, and then we're going to review at the end. So, hey, if you find any of this valuable, please give it a like. Also, subscribe to the channel. If anyone's watching, it is 10:46 in Arizona. That's 12:46 on the old East Coast there. So, let's get into it. So we're going right in here. Peyton Manning started it all. 1998 started it all for me. This is when I really started to become a big football fan. Little Russ, loved Peyton Manning. But the point is not to start at 1998 because of an outlier, but to look at this career. So as you can see, we're getting basically 15 years of elite quarterback play locked in every year. 13 years for the Colts. Locked in, great starter every year, fantasy relevant, fantasy QB1 essentially every season, guaranteed, throughout that span. Historic record-breaking numbers. This is super rare, and at times I think we took it for granted because we had so many other studly quarterbacks. But okay, so as we kind of go through each class, keep in mind, there's an ecosystem here, right? There's the stud outliers that come along once every 5 or so draft classes, unless it was 1998 to 2004, in which case all of them came. We have the studs, and then we have, hey, Matt Hasselbeck, thanks for starting for 10 years, right? And then we have Brian Greasy. Hey, thanks for the 3 years, pal. And those guys are fine if we have the studs at the top. And, Charlie Batch started a few years, et cetera, et cetera. So we go to 99. Not much there. We had McNabb, who probably started for a decade, so I would consider that a nice little piece. Dante Culpepper, Aaron Brooks, these guys were kind of a few-year starters and then basically done. Culpepper kind of foreshadowing for what this new era of quarterback looks like in terms of style. Culpepper was an absolute stud, and then just injury after injury, and was kind of a shell of himself after a few years. So that's what we're looking at here. So trust me, this is going to make sense as we continue to go through the classes, right? But okay, so we got one semi-stud, a few glue guys, Dante Culpepper, Aaron Brooks, and so there's, a decent class. 2000, we get Tom Brady. So we get Tom Brady and Peyton Manning within two years of itself, right? Two of the best quarterbacks of all time. Clearly two of the best fantasy quarterbacks of all time. Both played 15 plus years. Brady, of course, played 20. And one point I want to make on Brady, when you look at his career, with some of these young guys, we're being really hard on them right now because they're being asked to carry the fantasy landscape. But when you look at Tom Brady, he didn't throw over 30 touchdowns till he was 30 years old. So a lot of these young quarterbacks going through the motions as youngsters right now, don't expect huge fantasy seasons, even though we are expecting that. Historically, it takes a little while, unless they're a running quarterback, in which case it happens right away. But when you look at these pure passing quarterbacks, I really do think it takes 5 to 7 years to fully grasp everything. And then, once Brady hits this point, he gets Randy Moss, et cetera, he starts to see everything, and then it's just absolute annihilation for 12 years. So that's an important point for a lot of these quarterbacks that are 25 or younger, 27 or younger. It's not always, locked in. We had Mark Bulger in this class, Chad Pennington. So as you can see, the theme of these draft classes is about 3 guys. One stud, a few glue guys, and a few scraps. 2001, we get Drew Brees. So again, 4 years, and we have 3 guys with 70+ thousand passing yards. We get Michael Vick in this class too, who of course had off-field issues that shortened his career. He was a stud, but just not a long-term starter. But here's the thing. Long-term starters are what have salvaged fantasy football and the NFL landscape over the last 2 decades. These guys playing 15, 20 years, like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, these guys who fight over scraps for fantasy points. I mean, Drew Brees would be out there down 35, grinding out fantasy points for us. So, but again, Drew Brees, different era, but really didn't hit his full stride and become Drew Brees till around age 29. Started to have some really good years in New Orleans, but didn't hit his full stride till 30. So we're holding a lot of these youngsters to standards that, really only Patrick Mahomes can kind of ascend to. So again, one stud, one 5-year starter, 7-year starter, and Michael Vick, and then boom, nothing. All right, 2002, nothing. Bad class, no real long-term starters in there. Forget it. But then we come back and we get Carson Palmer, who had major injuries but came back, ended up starting a decade, 46,000 passing yards, bunch of good seasons with Arizona and Cincinnati, and overall a really good career. A few other guys that started a few years and some scraps. And then we hit 2004, right? So we already have 98 Peyton Manning locked in for 15 years. We have Tom Brady locked in for 20 years in 2000. We have Breeze locked in for like 17 years in 2001. And then we get this trio right here. Roethlisberger, Rivers, and Manning, all guys who started 15 plus years, maybe around that range, played every single year, never really got hurt. And again, that's the theme with most of those guys. Drew Brees had a little injury here and there. Manning had an injury. Brady had that one season with the knee. But for the most part, these guys stayed healthy and started for 15 plus years. So that is what? 1, 2, 3, 4 Carson Palmer, and 7. That's 7 guys who started a decade that we're just plugging away with for the next 20 years, 15 years. So from 2004 on, we basically had 7 teams that had starting quarterbacks every year that we knew what we were getting. We had Matt Schaub, who also started for, 5 to 7 years with Houston, another really good quarterback. So there we go. I mean, that is the quarterback boom. And we could feel it. Football changed at that time. Passing became much more prominent, and we were off. 2005, not much here, but we did get, not much here. 3 more guys who were 10-year starters. Fitzpatrick in strange ways, but he did end up starting, on and off for 10 plus years. Rodgers, stud. Alex Smith, not a stud, but really just a ridiculous stretch run here of. And then we get, the Kyle Ortons of the world, the Matt Castles, Jason Campbell, all multi-year starters out of this class. So that's 10 guys already from 98 to 2005. And you're going to say, Russ, this is stupid. Why are we looking at this? This is what every draft class looks like. This is how it all goes. Just wait. Just wait. So 2006, we get Jay Cutler and absolutely nothing else. Matt Leinart, complete bust. Vince Young, 1 year and then out of the league, basically. We get Jay Cutler for a decade there. So, again, not the worst class, but starting to see some regression here. And then look at this. 2007 class, no quarterback, over 6,000 yards. We just got a 0, just nothing out of this, a 0. And that wouldn't matter, and it really didn't matter for the entirety of this draft class because there were so many good quarterbacks behind them that there was no real urgency to find anybody else because we already had a bunch of guys locked in. So that's 2007. 2008, Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, not guys you think of as names that are valuable, but when you look at 2023, boy, we would sure kill for a Matt Ryan right now, a young Matt Ryan or a young Joe Flacco. Those guys would be very valuable in 2023 football. However, we don't have that. So there's 2 more guys there that were every year starters. Matt Ryan Basically never got hurt for a long period of time. Basically started for 13, 14 years. Every week we knew Matt Ryan where he was going to be in Atlanta. Same thing with Joe Flacco, a decade. Just a monster. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. 2007, we already did. 2008. Okay. Stream issues. Okay, we got Stafford. We got Sanchez, Josh Freeman. But again, you're starting to see, we're getting some lower end guys to be starting. Mark Sanchez, barely competent. He did start for multiple years, but overall not a very good career. Same with Josh Freeman. Stafford really the only guy out of that class, but kind of a weird career. Had some great years, had a lot of mediocre ones. A lot of passing yards, though. But again, getting a Matthew Stafford's great in a quarterback class. We got 10 plus years out of him. This is where I would like to say the line of demarcation comes. Again, we had 2007. That was really bad quarterback class. But look at this class, too. So now we got two of those classes where Sam Bradford, I believe is a great what if. Won Rookie of the Year on a really bad Rams team. Led them to the playoffs. Nope. Made that up. Yep. Nice. All right, well, sometimes we make things up. That's fine. Anyway, won Rookie of the Year and was overall looking like a really good quarterback. And then he just had like 3 major injuries and it was over. I believe he had some injuries coming into the NFL, but healthy Sam Bradford probably is a starter for 10 plus years. Unfortunately, he just got absolutely destroyed on some bad Rams teams, and it was pretty much over from there. God, as we're scrolling, we just see all the injuries from the game tonight. You hate to see that. Let's not do the close-up of Mark Andrews' ankle problems. All right. As you can see, 2010. Then we get to 2011, right? Andy Dalton finishing his career with more passing yards than Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick. But Cam Newton's the important guy in this class. He was the stud. He was supposed to be the long-term guy. Absolute monster early career as well. Just a stud among studs of fantasy quarterbacks and NFL quarterbacks for that matter. 2015 culminating in that. 15-1, bringing them to a Super Bowl. But then it was kind of over after that. So we really got 5 years out of Cam Newton, and then it was done. It was just kind of over. And there wasn't really anything we could do about it. It was just kind of over. And while he had a much more successful career than Sam Bradford, as you're starting to see, these classes just do not have any longevity. So Cam Newton's supposed to be the guy. He's gone in 5 years. He's no longer a competent starter after 2018, 2017. Andy Dalton, decade-long starter. Thank you for your service, sir. We need you. But he's no longer a starter in 2023. So we'll get to that later as well. Yeah, rough. Colin Kaepernick, few good years. Off-field stuff, but also kind of wore out his welcome with that style. And this is where, again, compounding quarterback classes into terrible results here. Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin were supposed to be the guys to kind of lead the next era. And this kept happening. These guys are going to lead the next era. Then they'd get hurt. Robert Griffin I'm still convinced, again, like Sam Bradford, wins Rookie of the Year, has an immense rookie year, gets hurt in the regular season. I believe it was against the Ravens. And then he came back and he tore up his knee, and he was just never the same. It was just over. Completely over. I mean, the fantasy markets were completely inflated entering 2023, thinking they were going to get 10 years out of Robert Griffin, the absolute stud. And they got 1 year and basically 2.5 years as a starter, and it was over. Second overall pick. Looked fantastic. Though he did have Kyle Shanahan, but him and Kyle Shanahan could have been really special. And then, again, this was Peyton Manning. This was Tom Brady. Andrew Luck. Absolute monster. Had 1 elite fantasy year, 2 elite fantasy years. Was a 6-year starter. Missed 2017. Retired in 2019. So this was our new Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Luck's 34 right now. He should be starting in 2023. He's been completely off the board. And again, this would have been a bigger deal had Big Ben, Phil Rivers, the gang, Peyton, Tom, had Drew Brees, had all these guys not been around. This would have been a bigger deal, but we were like, quarterbacks grow on trees. Whatever. It's fine. We'll just replace them. Quarterbacks aren't hard to find. I don't think anybody actually said that, but that's what it felt like. And Russell Wilson, great career, but really a shell of himself the last 2 years. Kirk Cousins' Achilles injury this year. Ryan Tannehill is now a backup in 2023. So this class has basically gotten beat up. That's 2012. That's 11 years ago. These guys are supposed to be still having some prime years left, at least compared to their predecessors. 2013, nothing, dude. Nothing. And the only reason Geno Smith looks reasonable is because the last couple years, but nothing. So that's 3 classes with just nothing, 0. And a bunch of busts along with it. So when we look back, 2010 to 2013 really set us back. And we're just now seeing that kind of come around and break us down mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah. Anyway, please like and subscribe. Maybe you just like the music. Maybe maybe you like other things about this. But yeah. All right. Anyway, let's do this. Keep going. Derek Carr again. A decade, right? But in 2023, he's a shell of himself. Jimmy benched this year. We're not really getting anything out of this class anymore either. 2015, Jameis and Mariota. These were the 2 guys that were going to bring us into the new era. And you had to be there to experience this. But Jameis was viewed as a very high-end quarterback prospect. He really was out of Florida State. Marcus Mariota, a guy, I think injuries kind of limited him. When we look back at the career, there's nothing really exciting there. But 2016, he was very, very good. And he got banged up at the end of the year and really struggled with injuries all the way after that and was basically done. So, again, that's another class where we didn't get any long-term starters, really. 2016, Jared Goff, long-term starter. Dak Prescott, long-term starter. Carson Wentz, a few good years, and then injuries, and then it was over. Carson Wentz, with hindsight, maybe a weirdo, maybe bad in the locker room. But, overall, when you look at this, a fantastic 2017. Solid in 2 other years, at least fantasy-wise. And now he's just out of the league. Lots of injuries. Never really got to see him peak of his powers beyond that 2017 team. So, yeah, but again, people don't view Jared Goff as a beastly quarterback, but we're going to be getting, 10 to 15 years. This is the Matt Ryan. It's not always pretty, but this is what peak performance looks like. We need guys like this. We need guys like Jared Goff hanging around for 15 years as a starter. He's already 8 years in, and I think there's going to be 8 more. Cheers. Dak Prescott, very good quarterback. He's going to be around. As much as Cowboy fans don't like him, and maybe he's not elite, but again, for these purposes, thank you, Dak. Thank you, Jared. 2017. Pat Mahomes. Boom. Lock it in. We got our Peyton Manning. We got our Tom Brady. Thank the Lord. Okay, we have one guy. And we thought we had Deshaun Watson. And now we don't. Out for the year. Basically missed all of 2022. Even in the games he played, I feel like he missed. 2021, he basically missed. And, yeah, really rough that we lose a guy like this as well. Again, adding up, and I have this in a Google Doc at the end so we can look at the carnage as it stands for all the different reasons. But, Deshaun Watson was a stud quarterback for 4 years, and really off-field and injuries have stolen him from us too. So, it's just continuing. 2018. Josh Allen, we're hoping he's a long-term starter. But that running style, they have toned him down this year a little bit, I think. Let's check. Let's see if this is my second. Make it. Yeah. 48 rushing attempts. Good. We need Josh Allen. I can't be having him out for the year because he ran into a linebacker. Let's be reasonable here. All right. So, Josh Allen, 27 years old, should be a long-term starter, but, I'm hoping he becomes a Big Ben type in his later years. Just stop running, Josh. That's my thoughts. Baker Mayfield kind of coming back into good graces now. Could be. What is it? How many years has he started now? What does he got? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.5. We got 5.5 years as a starter for Baker, and I think this year he's kind of proven he's competent enough where he might be a Ryan Fitzpatrick-y guy. That's great. We need guys like that. Lamar hasn't finished the last 2 seasons. Got banged up tonight. I'm rooting for him, but this type of playing style has not historically aged well into mid to late 30s or early 30s, late 20s. As you can see, we haven't really seen 2019 Lamar Jackson in a while. This year he's been great. All the touchdowns have been going in other ways, but he has been very, very good. So, love to see that. We need you, Lamar. Please stay healthy. We need Lamar. We need Josh Allen. Guys, please, we need you. Stick around. Please. All right. I have some theories on this as well. And again, looking at 2019, I think we all instantly see it. Daniel Jones, 2 years of basically being injured. He was pretty good fantasy-wise last year, but he got banged up with that running style. Kyler Murray, major injury last year. Basically missed all of 2023. Again, this type of style does not age well historically. I'm rooting for Kyler. We need him. But, as a gatekeeper of the quarterback crypt here, at least for this live stream. We need these guys to stay in the pocket, stop running. I know a lot of the injuries come on sacks or, scrambling, but these designed runs, they're rushing attempts. Why do we view rushing attempts for running backs as this horrible thing? We know there's a limited lifespan, but when quarterbacks run, we don't really think of it that way. Every rushing attempt is bad. Anytime there's a defensive lineman or middle linebacker hitting you, bad. Stop it. Kyler, get out of bounds, please. We need you. All right. All right, so here we go. We got Justin Herbert, stud, going to be around a long time. Joe Burrow hurt tonight, but going to be around a long time. Maybe they have the Carson Palmer careers, but overall should be fine. Tua, I don't know. What do you guys think? How long do you think Tua's lasting? You think we can get 5 more years out of him before that concussion stuff comes up again? 5 more years in the NFL? Maybe. I'm rooting for him. Love the guy. I think he's super talent with Mike McDaniel, but we're going to need you, Tua. Keep doing those jiu-jitsu classes, my friend. All right. Jalen Hurts does not need any introduction from me. Absolute stud. But again, he's been hurt most of this year because he runs. Now, I will say, of all the running quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts' style is aesthetically pleasing for me because he runs out of bounds. The only problem is those goal line rushes just feel not great. Just feel not great long-term wise. But, I don't know. We're in year 4, guys. Remember, in 5 years, what is this going to look like for Jalen Hurts? A.J. Brown gets older. Something goes weird. These injuries keep piling up for Hurts. He doesn't want to run as much. What does this look like as he ages? So keep that in mind. We got to hope Jalen just become a pocket quarterback. We need you, brother. Joe Burrow. I mean, a pocket quarterback that gets hurt more than I've ever seen. So, God, we are sweating this out. All right. So people hate Trevor Lawrence. However, I'm very confident, much like, I think he's much better than Jared Goff, but in that same vein, even if Trevor Lawrence becomes Matt Ryan, which I think he's much better, but even if he becomes Matt Ryan, right, we're in year 3, he's 24 years old, and everyone's needing him to throw 35 touchdowns this year. It takes time for these young guys. And the problem is we need Trevor Lawrence to throw for 40 touchdowns and 4,500 yards right now because there's no veterans. There's no veterans. So we need Trevor Lawrence in year 3 to be a super stud, and he's not, so people are pissed. Justin Fields hurt this year. I should write that down. Zach Wilson, bust. Mac Jones just lost his job. Davis Mills replaced. So I think Lawrence is still going to be a stud. I have some hope for Justin Fields. But again, Justin Fields already banged up, and he got banged up at the end of 2022 as well. So, as I've said 15 times already, rushing attempts are rushing attempts. I don't care if it's a quarterback or running back. And we need these guys, some of these guys, to last till their mid-30s. So, unless quarterback is just a 10-year position now. I mean, who would have ever thought that would be the narrative coming out of, the Brady Manning era? things going completely the other way. So, something to think about, right? All right. Yeah, this class, Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy, Sam Howell. Not getting much help there, y'all. And then 2023. Stroud, stud. Bryce Young, give it more time. Too early to tell. But Anthony Richardson, I'm just saying, that style is not good for longevity. I'm just saying. If we have not learned anything, I mean, that, this new style of quarterback, I just much prefer the CJ Strouds of the world. He can run a little bit, but he's not a runner. CJ Stroud's sitting in the pocket. He's going to slice and dice you. He's going to read the plays. He's absolutely filthy. Bryce Young, not filthy yet. But CJ Stroud, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for Pat Mahomes, CJ Stroud, guys like that. They're going to sit in the pocket. They're going to make plays. They got athleticism to run, but they don't always use it. Josh Allen, you can be one of those guys too. All right. Let's see. All right, let's go here. And then we'll do a review and wrap it up here. But, all right. So here is the all-time passing yards leaders list. And as you can see, it is populated with a bunch of guys who have either retired or are not really playing much this year. Brady, 2022. Breeze, 20. Peyton Manning, 2015. Roethlisberger, 2021. Rivers, 2020. Matt Ryan, 2022. Rodgers, out this year. Eli Manning, 2019. So, 8 of the top 10 quarterbacks have retired in the last 7 years in passing yards. You got Dan Marino, absolute freak show. Love you, Dan. What a ridiculous. Every time I look at his stuff, it's hilarious. Let's take a look at Danny Marino for a second. Look at that. 48 48 touchdowns in 1984. How about that, Daniel? All right. But yeah, you guys get the point at this point. So let's take a review of what's gone on this year. So we have my what if list. Here's my what if list, basically. Sam Bradford, Robert Griffin, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick to a degree, Marcus Mariota, and Carson Wentz, sort of. I think we've lost all those guys. I think without injuries, they could have been, long-term starters. Question the playing style or not. Cam was one of the best quarterbacks in the league through 5 years. Andrew Luck, yeah, just brutal to lose him. Robert Griffin, again, the running issues, but, was an absolute stud. So that's recent. These are all guys in the 2010s. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that we've lost. Recent retirements: 2022 Brady, 2020 Manning or Breeze, 2015 Manning, 2021 Roethlisberger, Rivers, Ryan. Look at these years everyone retired. In particular, 2020 to 2022, we lost, 400,000 career passing yards in one foul swoop, 3 foul swoops. Just really, really ugly. And again, so we're compounding things. We're losing all these guys to retirement. We have nothing set up for a future. We have no IRA. We have no 401k. We have no backup plan. We didn't think about this. We didn't think about what was going to happen when Tom Brady retired because he was supposed to play till 50. Same thing with Drew Brees. So we get to 2023. These 4 guys are out for the year, compounding this issue even more. We have Deshaun Watson, who qualifies for this now that he's out for the year. Kyler Murray has missed most of this year. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that are out for the year or have missed the majority of the year. Already had major injuries to Burrow, Murray, Lamar twice, and Jimmy G is benched. He doesn't really, let's take him off. He doesn't really belong on there. But again, Deshaun Watson missed 2 years, and again, he's going to miss 2023. Shells of themselves in 2023. Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill. It's just getting real rough out there, y'all. So this is what's happened. This is what's happened. If you're looking for answers, if you're wondering why everyone's scoring 80 fantasy points per week and you're having your lowest scoring team in years, it's because we don't have all these guys. And when you think of the ecosystem of the NFL, when you have an Eli Manning, you're not always getting elite fantasy seasons, but you are getting elite production from his skill position players every year. Plaxico Burress, Tiki Barber, Saquon even, Steve Smith, the other Steve Smith, Jeremy Shockey. I mean, this guy, Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw, this guy was producing fantasy guys. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Rivers, bunch of guys. Roethlisberger, bunch of guys. So again, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell had great years without Roethlisberger being an elite fantasy quarterback. So we kind of took him for granted as what he was doing for us. And now we're just losing all those guys. So, all right. Am I worried about 2023 and beyond? I guess we can go there. CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert. Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams. We'll throw Lamar on there. The future. I like this song for us looking at the future here. The future looks bright to me. Looks really, really, really bright to me. We've had some great quarterback classes over the last 5 years. And maybe we don't get Deshaun Watson ever again back to his full capacity. But we are getting guys that are going to last a long time, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. One of these three is not making it 10 years. I can guarantee that. But I do think we get some longevity out of some of these guys. Caleb, he's a pocket quarterback. I have faith he'll be able to stay healthy. Trevor, he's getting pretty banged up, but I have faith. Justin Herbert, pocket QB. Burrow, pocket QB. Goff, Mahomes, Stroud. Again, when we're looking for the longevity, we need the glue guys to hold this together. We need to hold the structure together. So, all right, so this is basically my quarterback review. I think we're pretty much done here. So there you go. That is my rant. 44 minutes of goodness. I'm bummed as everyone else. Hopefully Joe Burrow isn't out for the year now. But I hope this gave some context of what happened, kind of where we are, where we were, and why things look the way they do right now. I do think this will turn, but we are relying on a lot of young quarterbacks to produce right now. And especially from an elite upside perspective, we don't normally see that from pocket quarterbacks until mid to late 20s. So that is the bottom line. I am Russell Clay. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe to the channel. Check out fantasyguru.com. And I'm probably going to be doing a few more of these. Probably going to take a look at the running back classes and how we have basically been living on borrowed time with the 2017 class. And that's about to rupture completely as well. But that's a conversation for another day. So anyway, like and subscribe. Any feedback's good or bad. I'm learning as I go. Maybe I should get the Amazon boxes out of the background. But yeah, thanks y'all for tuning in, and I'll catch you later.